Hello, welcome back to another Pen Talk. Thank you very much for tuning in and joining me as I explore this amazing, wonderful, incredible wide world of pens. And you see a very worthy pen rotating on a turntable being held up by a very happy crab. And this is that new Hongdian N10 that was sent to me by a good friend and viewer of the channel. I really appreciate that. It's a pen I certainly like a lot. Has some very interesting, unique features to it. We're going to dive in and take a look at it, so stay tuned. Meanwhile, let's give Mr. Crab a close-up, and you can also appreciate the pen as it rotates. Yes, that is an ink window portal there in the barrel. So Mr. Crab will give you a winky wink and we'll dive in. So when you first pick up the pen, you notice it has a decent weight to it. Definitely feels like a metal pen. It's also a little bit cool to the touch because metal has a much higher heat capacity than a plastic would. So even though they're all the same temperature, room temperature, and your skin is well over 90 degrees, when you touch a metal item like this, that metal pulls heat out of your fingers, and therefore you feel the metal is colder than it would if it was plastic. I love this design. It comes in two other colors, and Pen Therapy has reviewed the other two colors, so I'm glad I got the green one. It's nice details in this design that I really like. You have that portal. You have this line, which, yes, you can line up 100% or you can over torque, but it's pretty damn close to being lined up as long as you don't tighten the cap too much. But, dude, it's a $30 pen. You're not expecting it to be perfect. And we have N10, Hongdian N10 there on the cap band. It's just very nice. So let's unscrew the cap. It takes a little over 1.5 turns and we'll see a black nib. And it's a large nib. It's close to a number 8, or what the Chinese market is making as a number 8. Actually, the length is what most Chinese use to measure the nibs, not necessarily the diameter of the feed, which is the Western designation number 5, 6, 7, and 8. It fits well in the hand, as is. It's a little slippery, so for those of you that don't like a pen that's slippery at all, then this may not be a pen for you, but it's light, and it's balanced well. And the other thing that this pen does is it does posts. It posts securely, and it doesn't post on the blind cap. Very secure. So it posts on this ring here, which I think is a great little design feature. Kudos again to Hongdian for coming out with a very nice pen that has those nice portals that you can see the ink level in to a certain degree. Right now there's no ink in there, so obviously the portals shine through. So I went through my ink drawer and picked out this ink. I called it Pine Green Tokiwa Matsu. It's part of that Gentle Ink series, which I don't think they make anymore. But to me, the problem is this bottle is a terrible design. Obviously, you can fit any type of pen in here because it's a huge opening, but it's very shallow. So you have to put the bottle at an angle and be careful you don't spill any ink. And trust me, not a good design. But it was a lot of ink, and it cost me $18 how many years ago when I bought it. And it is a nice dark green. Looks good on the paper towel, but who knows how it's going to write. We will see. Well, I'm very happy how this Hongdian N10 writes. There's a little bit of feedback, but I like that. You get to feel the nib on the paper. And as you can see, it lays down a generous patch of the Sailor ink. It's just a consistent line. I've written a couple pages with it so far. It's been in a letter or two. And very consistent writer. I think they did an excellent job. I enjoy the pen on every level. This is as far as I'll disassemble the pen. I'm not going to pull out the piston filler. No need to do that. I think this is a very excellent nib assembly. Again, there's a nice O-ring there, which I'm assuming fits in well to the section, sealing everything up very nicely. And an O-ring here at the bottom, so when you fill the pen, you don't get ink past that point. A black nib. Considering the kind of dark chrome on the pen, I think that would have been a better finish on the nib, but that might not be something that they can do. And that feed does look like an ebonite feed. It has that kind of matte texture to it. But, as we know, as long as the feed works well, I'm not that much of a stickler on what the feed is made out of. Piston is all the way up, and we'll measure where that is. We'll see it's fairly close to the maximum. So let's drop the piston all the way down. So we'll turn the blind cap counterclockwise. It's a nice, good feel. Has some resistance to it. And as we can see in that little portal, that the piston comes past that. Now we'll check the piston all the way down, and we'll see it's fairly close to that line there. So that's your amount of travel that you get. We'll do a weight before and after to determine how much ink the pen takes up. I think this finish is just amazing. I think it's a very unique finish. We're going to see if we can show off that it has a texture to it. I'm impressed. They did a very, very nice job. You know, you kind of feel a little bit there with the ink windows, but you don't feel that line there. The blind cap and the finial on the cap is more of a matte texture without that lines in it. But I'm just impressed with the interesting approach that they did with this pen. I don't know any other pen made out of aluminum that looks the same or is made the same as this. It's fairly light, which is what you would think of an aluminum pen. Nice designed clip. The right amount of stiffness. And we'll see if we can focus in on where they put the name of the pen. Hong Dian N10. It looks pretty good there. And I like the knurling that they did here. And of course, it's matched at the bottom of the barrel. All in all, I'm impressed with the design. The little details that really make the pen a fun pen to own. Let's take a look inside with the LED. First, we'll play the LED on that pen finish. It really shows off how those textured lines in there really reflect the light very, very well. Again, a very unique, interesting approach. And as we lift up the cap and look inside, we'll see a nice plastic liner. But there doesn't seem to be a ledge to seal up against the section like you would normally expect. But that should be a nice area, keep the nib wet. We'll see as we get into inking it up and writing with it. And the barrel is a similar type of design. You can see that ledge in there that seals up against the nib assembly when you screw it in. And the other thing that I'm really happy about with Hongdian is they give you a nice wrench. Because it is a little bit of a different method. There's no flat spots there. You could put some type of wrench on it. But hopefully you can see those little indents there, which this fits into. Once you get it into there, you would turn down the piston to lock it in place. I'll turn down the blind cap to lock it in place, and then you can turn it counterclockwise to unscrew the piston. It appears to be made out of metal aluminum, so that's nice. I'll let someone else take it out to show that to you. So we're now in dark mode, and I want to take a look at that portal there. Hopefully you can see that there's a coating or a wrap that contains the color, and then you can see the aluminum wall. And if you run your finger over this, you can feel that edge. So this is something that's wrapped on the barrel and cap to give it that great look. They did a good job with that. So here we are with a quick size comparison with the Pelican M800 and a Pilot Metropolitan. Let's pop the caps. So if there was any doubt that the nib on the Hongdian wasn't big, it is certainly larger by a good deal, more than the M800, and forget the Pilot Metropolitan. Here's just a little bit of a close-up for those that may have doubted the nib sizes, the section sizes, and I always line them up with the tip of the nib at the same distance so you can figure out where your fingers might be when you're writing with the pen. As you can see, your fingers are going to be pretty high away from the paper. Certainly you can get closer with the Pilot Metropolitan, and the M800 is in between. So now we have the time in that video where we're going to do some editorial comments. We'll give you some dimensions. So all in all, a great pen again that I'm very, very happy to have. I appreciate Dean sending it to me. It's just, they did a very, very good job with the different materials that they put together to create this pen, both from the aesthetics viewpoint and also from the writing viewpoint. It's always a pleasure to have something in your hand to put down ink with that you really enjoy the way that it looks. And this pen continues to bring joy to me. And yes, there's a little slipperiness to it, but that's the texture throughout the pen. But it's not severe, and it's easy to get used to. And I didn't have any problems during long writing sessions. And yes, that is a pretty big size nib. I read somebody says it's too big for the pen, but that's the new thing now, is big nibs. And I think the pen is certainly large enough to accommodate that nib. So let's do a final writing wrap-up and say bye. Yes, I enjoy writing with this pen. I've, like I said, written a bit with it, and each time I've put it to paper, I've enjoyed it. And that to me is the mark of a good pen. And I have not tired of looking at the pen. I'm amazed at how they were able to use that texture to bring a little bit of dimension to that coating that they have over the aluminum barrel and cap. So with that, we've reached the end. I want to thank all of you for watching. I hope everyone is safe, healthy, and happy, enjoying your pens. Yeah, it's a big nib, isn't it? Yes, that is now going to become very common, I think, going forward. So with that, we've reached the end of this video, and we will say bye. Till later.